Welcome. I'm the Deadwood Jedi, and today we're going to be in the account of Ken from Florida over here. Very excited about that. We're doing another Raid Shadow Legends video. Basically, Ken had come to me and asked me to help him with his clan boss team. He felt he was doing okay in dungeons, was doing okay in arena, but really wanted to focus on that more, and also maybe take off some of the ultra elite champions, specifically Duchess, that he has, so that he can focus more on arena work. And so he was hoping I could build him an Unkillable team, something that can, just 3-key Ultra Nightmare, doesn't have to worry about, just gets the job done. So I said, sure, we can try that. Let's go in here and do it. I haven't really done a lot of Unkillable comps. It's not something that I have in my account ready to go, and so it just kind of depends what people come to me with, if I can do that or not. In this case, he had the required champions. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to show you exactly what we had. It's not a hard build to do. The speed requirements are a little bit high, so this isn't for everybody, but the comp we're going to be working on today is the budget Maneater comp. So there's 3 key champions you need in order to make this work. One of them is Maneater, obviously. Comp's named after him. The other one is Painkeeper, also really crucial. And the last one is going to be a champion that you have going really, really slow and is going to take the stun. It doesn't matter what champion it is per se, but those are the 3 things that you need in order to make this comp work. So to kind of explain how this composition works, you need Maneater going at a very fast speed, 253 to 255. That's really the only requirement there. Maneater has a unique skill, if you're not aware, Ancient Blood. It places an Unkillable buff and a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns. Now for clan bosses is really unique in that the fact that you can stay unkillable, which is great, but also by blocking the debuffs, it means it can keep you affinity friendly and you don't have to worry about the stun. So if we can, unfortunately it's only 2 turns and it's on a 5-turn cooldown, which makes it very hard to use. That's why we need to bring in Painkeeper to help this composition along, because Painkeeper has this ability, Combat Tactics, which decreases the cooldowns of all ally skills by 1 turn. So by combining Maneater with Painkeeper, we can reduce the cooldowns for Maneater's A3 ability, that Ancient Blood, to a 4-turn cooldown. And by doing that, we can then set up a pretty regular system by putting Maneater on a 4-3 ratio and Painkeeper on a 4-3 ratio. By doing that, this kind of composition can work. It is a little bit tricky, though. You got to make sure that all the skills kind of line up. But thankfully we have this on the site. It's very easy to follow the instructions for it. It's not super complicated once you can get to the speeds. But the speeds are pretty high. We need to be at 240 for Painkeeper. The other thing with Painkeeper is we're going to want Painkeeper to have the second most HP in this composition. I'll explain why in a little bit. And we're going to need a fair amount of defense. The defense is actually really low on Painkeeper for this build. I would much rather have it higher, just so there's less chance of Painkeeper getting the stun. But this works. I've run this composition several times. It works just fine. For the masteries for Painkeeper, we went down the support tree and we went down the offense tree. Now the offense tree you definitely want to do, and I definitely recommend Life Drinker for Painkeeper. Support tree is good so that our heals are actually a little bit higher. The one thing, you can go down the defense tree, but you do not want to take Retribution. We don't want Painkeeper counterattacking. If she counterattacks because she has her A1 is a little bit on the unique side. Her A1 ability adds a 10% turn meter fill. So every time she hits with her A1, she gets 10% more turn meter. That will throw us out of sync if you put counterattack on her or bring in a counterattack champion. So you can't do that. Her A2 ability, one of the reasons why her HP so high is she heals all allies by 15% of her max HP. So the higher her max HP, the higher the heal is for her allies. So that can actually be really helpful for her. Now, as with all these champions, you do want Painkeeper and Maneater need to be fully booked. At least for Painkeeper needs to be fully booked. For A3, her A2, both of those need to be booked. Her A1, you don't have to, it's just damage. Maneater, you need Ancient Blood, that has to be booked out. The rest of it doesn't have to, but you're just going to get more damage out of him if you do. And Maneater's awesome, so it's worth booking. So those 2 need to be like that. Now, Maneater we have here at 253 speed, can be up to 253 to 255 speed. And we got almost 40,000 HP, so everything else is going to be fine on him. With Maneater, we can max out the attack, we can max out the crit rate, we can max out the crit damage. His primary thing is using that skill and then just hitting as hard as he can. For masteries, we have him going down the defensive tree so we can get some counterattacks from Retribution, and then the attack tree. Pretty standard build for Maneater. It's good for him. Now, the other champions we're going to bring, we do have 2 DPS champions. I'm going to bring in for this composition with this group, we have Rosin. So we're going to take him down to Giant Slayer because he has a triple attack A1. We're also taking the defensive tree so he can get some counterattacks in. That's also going to be important for him. Artifact-wise, we just built him as attack-wise as we can. Got crit damage gloves, 100% crit rate. Did get the accuracy up, so he lands his debuffs. And then try to put as much defense on him as possible. Obviously, you know, we don't have a perfect build here, but we're trying to get it there. You can see a bunch of mix sets. It doesn't really matter. These champions, we don't need lifesteal on them. It doesn't hurt, but we don't need it. So just try to build them up as best I could. Frozen Banshee here, we got kind of a similar thing going on. 186 speed. So these 2 DPS champions, anywhere between 181 and 189 speed is going to work. As long as they're in the 180s, it'll work for this build. Now, Frozen Banshee doesn't do a lot of raw damage, so we have our accuracy up and the speed's up, but other than that, the rest of it's not really super important. One of the things you do want to know, though, you want all these champions that we've looked at, Maneater, Painkeeper, the 2 DPS champions, Rosin and Frozen Banshee, they do need some defense. And you definitely want them to have less HP than this last champion I'm going to show you, Occult Brawler. Now, Occult Brawler is going to be our stun champion, and Occult Brawler is actually great for this because Occult Brawler's skills, he's got this passive ability that places a poison debuff on an enemy at the start of every turn. So even if he doesn't attack, he's still putting poisons up. His A1 will put poisons up. That's definitely good for him. Now, Occult Brawler, we don't need to book him. He's going to work just fine without it. It doesn't matter. The only thing we're going to get is more damage out of him. And because there's Maneater's putting that block debuffs, he puts poisons on himself. He actually won't put hardly any on himself because of that. So we don't really... Actually, I don't think he puts any on himself because of that. So you don't really need to worry about that at all. Now, when we're building him out, we want to get as much crit rate and crit damage as we can, get that accuracy up so the debuffs land. But the most important thing, this is the slow boy. The most important thing is going to be making sure his defense is low. We want that defense to actually be as low as possible and his HP to be the most in the composition. Now, you do need to make sure you don't go over 50,000 HP because then that will screw up the stun targeting from the clan boss. But you want it high, over 40, around 40k, I think is probably kind of the minimum you're looking at. You can get away with less, but generally you want, as you know, in that 40,000 range. You can go 35, I think, even that low, but defense has to be the lowest, HP has to be the highest. You do those 2 things, it should work. Just do not exceed 50k HP. That will screw you up. It screwed me up a couple times in this, so definitely something I learned along the way. But yeah, that should work out. Mastery-wise, you can go down. I went down the support tree just so we can get this extension and sniper, so we have a better chance. Master Hexer and sniper, so we have a better chance of the debuffs, the poisons landing and sticking. But you can definitely go down the defensive tree too. Interesting thing, I went down the offensive tree. I wanted to make sure we did not take Life Drinker. That's important, not to take Life Drinker. Taking Life Drinker will give him more HP than other champions, and that could throw off where the stun goes. So it's important that he doesn't take that. But other than that, that's really the build. Should be nice and simple. Now, I want to kind of explain a little bit why this comp is so unique and so special. And so let me go ahead and show you. I'm going to show you how I have this listed on my site so you guys can kind of learn from it and see, you know, what I have available for you guys to make this sort of thing work. So this is the Maneater composition, okay? This is what I have on my website. You can see we have several videos kind of explaining how this works. So that's always really good. And you can see the speeds are all listed there. Now, in order to make this work, the rotation is really easy, and we have it listed here. You just, on the A1, you're going to use Painkeeper's A3 ability, the combat tactics. And then on his second attack, you're just going to use the A1. On his third attack, before the stun, that's when you're going to use his heal ability, that A2 ability. So that part's pretty simple. One of the other things, we do have this... so one of the people I worked on, not this build so much, but for a couple of videos I'm going to be showing you in the future, is Rust. And Rust wrote up a really great article about this build, the budget Unkillable build, and how it works. So definitely something you should check out. It's right here under guides and resources on the website. And if you're going to run this composition, I highly recommend checking that out. One of the other things you're going to want to, so like that's going to kind of break down how this works, why it works. And then there's a link in there to this, which is a spreadsheet that Russ put together, and it is fantastic. It helps you guide where the stun goes. What's happening in this build essentially is that we're having that slow boy, our Occult Brawler. He's going only at like 124 speed. The reason he's going so slow is that he's going actually on a 2-3 ratio. So typically we're trying to get as many attacks in, right? We're trying to get our champions to go faster. So we have a Occult Brawler on a 4-3 ratio. He's taking 4 attacks for every 3 turns the clan boss takes. Well, we're doing the opposite with the Occult Brawler. We're having him take 2 attacks for every 3 attacks the clan boss takes. And the reason why is that Unkillable and block debuff ability that Maneater's putting on everyone, well, because Occult Brawler's only taking 2 turns for the 3 the clan boss takes, it's going to stay on Occult Brawler for both AoEs and the stun. Sure, Occult Brawler doesn't get extra attacks in, but if we can make the stun hit Occult Brawler, then we're going to be completely Affinity friendly and unkillable for the entire fight. It's a brilliant usage of the mechanics in this game. Really smart. First discovered by, I believe it was a Russian YouTuber. Cold Brew figured it out off of that. That's what I've linked on my website. And then we also have, and then Russ has kind of developed it further and really delved into all the machinations. That's why we have all these speeds here. So in this, you can see that there are some alternate speeds we can use in this stun calculator that he came up with. And basically what we do is we plug in the total HP of our champions. We plug in the total defense of our champions, and it gives us a percentage chance of them to get stunned. And we want this chance to be as low as possible. I mean, I know that kind of sounds weird, but basically we're trying to make this number down here as low as possible, and that's the person who should be getting stunned. And we want that to be a Occult Brawler. So in order to do that, we want the HP as high as possible and the defense as low as possible. And that means that less damage getting mitigated. They're going to have a lower percentage of their HP compared to the other champions, and that means they should get the stun. It's also important why we have Painkeeper in this group with the healing. That healing that he does, it's based off Painkeeper's max HP. So if he has, it's 15% of his max HP. So let's say Painkeeper, our Painkeeper has about 40,000 HP. So about 40,000. 15% of that is going to be about 6,000 HP. So everybody on the team is going to get 6,000 HP. Well, 6,000 of Painkeeper's 40,000 is 15%. 6,000 of Rosin's 30,000 is actually 20%. But 6,000 of Occult Brawler's, let's say 50,000 HP, is only 12%. So Occult Brawler would have the lowest percentage of HP, and so the clan boss is going to try and stun him. And that's why it's really important that Painkeeper 1 has the second highest HP on the team. That's helpful. Not crucial, but helpful. But also why it's so important that Occult Brawler has the most HP. Because that heal is going to fill a lower percentage of Occult Brawler's HP. Because his total HP is higher, but it's based off of Painkeeper's max. So we're getting a static number across the board. And because it's a static number across the board and he has the most HP, the fill, it's actually a lower percentage that's getting filled. And so that's how the stun is getting targeted. Him having the lowest defense and the lowest percentage HP makes him the most attractive target for the clan boss. And so those two things combined are really important. The low defense is really important along the way, getting into it until everybody is at 0 HP and healing up just from Painkeeper. That's really important because what that means is that Occult Brawler is going to be lower. He's taking more damage every single time. So we don't get an accidental stun leading up into the clan boss fight. That's really crucial. So as long as you can stick to that pattern, make your stun target your slow boy, the most HP, the lowest defense, you should be in good shape. And that kind of covers all the things that I have on the website. And like, I think this is really great. I'm really thankful to Russ for sharing this with everybody. It makes putting this creation together a lot simpler. So that's that. I think it kind of covered everything. All the champions you can see. Occult Brawler. I don't know if I covered this exactly, but we got 47,000 HP, 1,400 defense, and 125 is the speed. Try to keep him as slow as possible. Have a full range of speeds on the website that you guys can check out. So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you guys the run so you can see exactly how effective this clan boss routine can be, and then we'll talk a little bit about it afterwards. All right, guys, so here we go into this clan boss run. You can see I do have Frozen Banshee as the lead, just for a little bit extra accuracy bonus. Occult Brawler, we got Rosin, Maneater, and Painkeeper. I suppose we could put Occult Brawler as the number 2 champion. It never hurts for clan boss targeting, but in this situation, because the clan boss will be focused on the HP and the defense of our champions, it shouldn't really matter. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and start this run, and I'll show you exactly how easy this is to get going. It's pretty simple start. So we just want to click off auto, and we kind of can keep it on actually. If it's on accidentally, that's not a problem, because we're going to go ahead and use Ancient Blood right from the get-go for Maneater. We're going to go ahead and use the combat tactics right from the get-go for Painkeeper as well. So there's not a whole lot of waiting with any of this. We can just use the skills as they come up for each of these champions. There's not a whole lot of waiting we need to do. A1, A2 doesn't matter for Maneater, and then we just kind of keep putting them on. Now this is important. This is the one spot where we have to do something different. With Painkeeper, the A1, we need to use the A1 on that second turn. We don't want to use the A2 yet. That's important. Otherwise, we're pretty easy going, pretty safe to move. You can see we were all unkillable there. No issues with that. And there is one little thing. Okay, and then, so right here, we're gonna go ahead and use that A2. It's gonna give us a little bit of a heal and should make Occult Brawler. There you go. He's the target of that stun. At that point, we can click auto and we're good to go. It's literally that simple, guys. Just one thing with Painkeeper, simple, easy, done. Now, one thing to keep in mind, Painkeeper is vulnerable to a slow debuff from the green Affinity clan boss. In that situation, I don't have the exact skill order, but basically what you want to do is you just want to A1 all the way through the first cycle, A1 all the way into the second cycle up until the second stun, and you're going to use that A2 ability right before the second stun. I'm sorry, you're going to use the A3, the cooldown reduction. That's definitely going to be part of it. So you'll use that A3 when it comes up, but you're not going to use the A2 ability, that heal ability. You're not going to use that until right before the second stun. So you can plug this in the calculator and see exactly when that should be coming out. But basically that's the only difference you need to make, and then it should put everybody back in sync. So something definitely you're going to want to keep in mind, and I'll let you guys kind of test that out and see. But I was talking to Rust, and he's letting me know that's how you get around that, and there's nobody I trust more with these Maneater and Killables than him, quite frankly. So definitely something to check out, or definitely something you can adjust with on your own and should be able to figure it out. You might have 1 or 2 bad runs along the way, but that shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, that's it. I mean, it's pretty simple, real quick, real easy to do. So let me get off the screen and I'll go ahead and let you guys watch the rest of this beautiful run. 25.99 million. I think that's a good 26 million key, not dollars, but damage for sure. Definitely a good run. That is what we're looking for in this. That's a firm, very firm 3-key team. And I think if we build this up, we can even add to that, quite frankly. We get a debuff extender in there, maybe replace Frozen Banshee. This could be quite the composition. So in general, I'm pretty happy with this. I thought it was really kind of fun to build, not especially hard to do since we had pretty specific targets and the requirements weren't especially high. Getting the stun to land on Occult Brawler was a little tricky, but you really just have to stick to the rules. Less than 50,000 HP, more HP than everybody else, hopefully by a few thousand, and then the lowest defense on the team. If you do that, it should work just fine. The only thing you need to worry about in that after that is affinities. And so you might want to bring in a couple different slow boy champions depending on what affinity you're facing. But that's it. But I mean, 120 whatever speed, it's not like it takes a lot of gear to build up a slow boy champion. You don't have to steal your best speed gear in order to do that. So that's really good. Yeah, this was fun. All right, guys, that's a pretty effective team right there. I mean, we're doing 26 million damage on Ultra Nightmare. That's not too shabby. It's not like everybody's maxed out. You saw not all the gears rolled up all the way. Not everybody's maxed. Our best Poisoner Occult Brawler is going at a slow speed. You can definitely do more stuff to up the damage in this. This can be a 2-key team. I've seen compositions with this that you can adjust it to be able to use champions like Elder Skarg or Shazar or Rotos even, and you can do 40 million damage with this kind of composition. It's not easy. It's not for everybody. You probably want to have a Draco in there, but it's doable, and that's kind of the point. When you have unkillable teams, you can do some crazy stuff because you all of a sudden don't have to worry about your defense or your HP as much. You know, you can really stack your attack, crit rate, crit damage skills on there. So definitely a lot of flexibility with this. You don't need your stun champion to be the lead champion. It just helps with the targeting, but it's not essential because most of the targeting is going to be based off of HP and defense anyhow. So I've done runs with, I think we had Frozen Banshee as the lead in that last run you guys saw, but I've done runs with the Occult Brawler in the lead. It doesn't really matter. One of the things that does matter, though, when you face Affinity. Now, this clan is really just starting to get into Ultra Nightmare, so they don't have Affinity worries. But when you start getting into Affinity, then you need to worry about who your slow boy is, your tank, because you want them to be the weak affinity for the clan boss. That way the clan boss really targets them. So that's the only difficulty, is making sure that you have alternate choices for that clan boss stun. That will help a lot with those builds. So it otherwise shouldn't be a problem. And also, if you only have one poisoner, when you face the weak affinity, you're not going to do a whole lot of damage because those poisons won't always land. And this is definitely a problem when you have Frozen Banshee on your team. It's not as big a problem with the Occult Brawler, but it definitely has an effect. So those are things that you're going to want to keep in mind in making this clan boss team work for you. But hopefully you guys found this helpful, and I kind of enjoyed doing this. I haven't done one of these compositions. I think what I'm going to be doing in the next couple of days, you're going to see another version of this that I put together with Rust, and I think you're going to be really impressed with this, so keep an eye out for that. I think it's going to be really helpful for a lot of you guys. But in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you don't mind liking the video down there, if you enjoyed this, if you guys are still here, please subscribe. It means a lot to me. I really do appreciate it, and you seem to be enjoying the stuff, and you want to be able to make sure that you know when the next video comes out, because as you know, I don't put these out every day, so hit that notification bell. That's going to let you know when I have another video coming out. Otherwise, guys, I am on Twitch. I'm streaming Tuesday through Thursday, as well as Sunday, going at 11:30 a.m. to about 1:30 or 2 or 3 or whenever it happens. And then very last, this weekend, Saturday, we're going to be doing that Hot Wing Challenge. I'm going up against Scratch AK-47. I'm going to be in the same stream with Hell Hades and Bionic BGE. It's going to be very exciting or very painful, probably is what it's going to be like, as I have to bring my arena talents, which aren't all there, against one of the best arena players in this game in Scratch AK-47. I have been talking smack to him because he's going down. I'm going to take him down. Remember that, Scratch. You're going to go down. When you're eating those hot wings, you're going to think of me. When your mouth is burning, you're going to go, Deadwood. That's what we want. So I just want you guys, you're going to have a lot of fun with it. You should definitely stop by. I'm pretty sure we're going to be filming at 6 Eastern. I'm sorry, 11 p.m. UK time or 3 Pacific, my time on Twitch. Check out the streams. Pay attention. We'll put out more information for sure. I'll drop some information in my Discord, absolutely. But I want you guys to be able to know about that. I'll try and put some information on YouTube too, so you guys can just check out my channel and figure out when it is. But I'm very excited about that. Should be a really great time. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. But hey, always a pleasure talking to you all. And until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.